Hey there and welcome to Scandal Steep. In the world of television, few shows have left as lasting an impact as The Jeffersons. Premiering in 1975, the sitcom broke boundaries and challenged societal norms by featuring a successful African-American family in a way that had never been seen before on the small screen. It was a sitcom that offered a fresh, positive portrayal of Black Americans, showing a wealthy family living in an upscale Manhattan apartment. Yet, the journey of the Jeffersons was far from smooth. Behind the scenes, the cast and crew faced immense challenges, from clashes over creative control to corporate interference and even controversies surrounding the portrayal of interracial relationships. The show became a symbol of both progress and tension in the entertainment world, offering viewers a blend of humor, social commentary, and groundbreaking moments that would forever change television. At the heart of The Jeffersons were its two main characters, George and Louise Jefferson, played by Sherman Hemsley and Isabelle Sanford. George, a brash, larger-than-life businessman, and his sharp-witted but loving wife Louise made an unlikely but unforgettable television duo. Their rise from humble beginnings in Harlem to the heights of success in a luxury Manhattan high-rise was not just a storyline, it represented the American dream as it had never been portrayed for African Americans on television before. However, the show wasn't all smooth sailing. Marla Gibbs, who played the sharp-tongued housekeeper Florence Johnston, became one of the most notable figures on the show. Yet, her experience on The Jeffersons wasn't without its own share of struggles. Gibbs found herself frequently clashing with the show's creators, particularly over the depiction of African American culture. She was vocal about her concerns with the scripts, which she felt often leaned into negative stereotypes about Black people. One such episode, involving a storyline about the Ku Klux Klan, deeply troubled Gibbs. She believed it was mishandled and should have been treated with more care and sensitivity. This tension between the desire for humor and the responsibility to represent Black culture authentically would become a recurring theme throughout the show's production. These creative disagreements were further exacerbated by the network, CBS, which frequently interfered with the content of the show. The network's reluctance to greenlight The Jeffersons stemmed from its fear of the show's progressive themes. The portrayal of a Black family thriving in an affluent setting was a radical departure from the typical depictions of Black families on television at the time. For years, Black characters on TV had been relegated to roles that reinforced stereotypes either as poor, struggling families or as comedic figures who lacked depth. The Jeffersons shattered these molds, but that very fact made many at CBS uneasy. In 1985, The Jeffersons was abruptly cancelled despite its immense popularity. The news came as a shock to the cast, who found out about the decision through the media rather than from the network itself. Many speculated that CBS had grown uncomfortable with the show's more politically charged storylines, including its depictions of race, inequality, and prejudice. However, some insiders believe that the network was more concerned with declining viewership and a desire to move away from socially conscious programming. Regardless of the reasons behind the cancellation, the show's legacy was already cemented. Despite the challenges on and off screen, the cast and crew of The Jeffersons pushed through to create something truly groundbreaking. Sherman Hemsley, known for his fiery portrayal of George Jefferson, faced personal challenges in navigating the pressure of playing such a larger-than-life character. Hemsley was often described as reclusive and, at times, distant from his company stars, but his commitment to his role never wavered. Isabelle Sanford, who played Louise Jefferson, also had her own battles, particularly with the decision to leave her role on the hit show All in the Family to join The Jeffersons. At first, Sanford was hesitant to take on a new role, feeling uncertain about the future of the new show. However, after much persuasion from the show's producers, she ultimately made the decision to join the cast, a choice she would later celebrate as one of the best of her career. The cultural significance of The Jeffersons extended beyond its main characters. One of the most revolutionary aspects of the show was its portrayal of interracial relationships, a rare and often controversial subject at the time. The characters of Tom and Helen Willis, played by Roxy Roker and Franklin Cover, represented the first interracial couple to be featured in a mainstream television show. This groundbreaking storyline was not without its own challenges. Roker, who was married to a white man in real life, faced personal and professional scrutiny for taking on the role of Helen. The show's depiction of the Willises sparked conversations about race, relationships, and the evolving dynamics of American society. The Jeffersons also stood out for its willingness to tackle difficult social issues head-on. One notable example was the episode in which George Jefferson confronted a member of the Ku Klux Klan. This bold moment in the series' history was met with resistance from CBS, which feared that such an episode would alienate sponsors and conservative viewers. Despite this, the episode aired and became one of the most talked-about moments of the show. The show's creator, Norman Lear, was a staunch advocate for pushing boundaries and tackling taboo topics, and his insistence on tackling issues like racism and bigotry helped to set the Jeffersons apart from other sitcoms of the time. Another significant achievement of the show was its ability to depict complex characters. While sitcoms of the 1970s often relied on simple, one-dimensional character tropes, the Jeffersons took a different approach. George Jefferson, for example, was more than just a comic figure. His brash exterior hid a deeply complex character with a complicated past. Raised in poverty, George's fixation on wealth and success stemmed from his experiences growing up as a tenant farmer in Alabama. His journey from janitor to successful businessman was a reflection of his ambition and his desire to break free from the limitations imposed by his background. Weezy, George's wife, was equally complex. While she played the role of the wise, grounded counterpart to George's impulsive nature, she also had her own moments of vulnerability and strength. The dynamic between George and Louise was one of the heart and soul of the Jeffersons, providing viewers with a sense of balance and emotional depth amidst the comedic moments. What truly set the Jeffersons apart, however, was its ability to address important social issues with humor and grace. The show broke ground in other ways as well. It was the first sitcom to directly address suicide in an episode in which Florence, the maid, contemplates taking her own life. It was also the first mainstream sitcom to feature a transgender character, George's old Navy buddy Eddie, who revealed that she had transitioned and was now known as Eddie. These storylines, while controversial, were significant for the visibility they gave to marginalized groups and for the way they prompted conversations about gender, identity, and mental health. Despite its cancellation in 1985, the legacy of the Jeffersons lives on. The show had a profound influence on later sitcoms, particularly those that sought to address social issues through humor and heart. Shows like The Cosby Show and Black-ish owe much of their success to the path paved by the Jeffersons. The show's groundbreaking portrayal of a successful black family and its willingness to engage with difficult topics set a standard for socially conscious television that is still relevant today. In the end, The Jeffersons was more than just a television show, it was a cultural phenomenon. It challenged stereotypes, broke new ground in its portrayal of African Americans, and addressed critical social issues with humor, wit, and intelligence. The cast and creators of The Jeffersons were not only pioneers in the entertainment industry but also agents of social change. As we reflect on the impact of the show, one thing is clear: The Jeffersons didn't just move on up to the East Side, they moved television forward.